Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
So how is Glenn?
Hey, what's up, my sober coffee loving brother? Hey, first of all, just for full transparency, I know everybody thanks for sitting there with the bean grinder in the coffee shop, but we're actually in a studio. Thank you very much, Audio Hive. And
Brian, great job,
Brian's
man,
a brother.
yeah.
You know, we've been here 2.5 years for that brother.
Yeah, right.
Right. Amazing.
You know that brother's been there 2.5 years for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You know what? Has never dropped the ball.
No.
Audio Hive. In Chicagoland.
It's good stuff.
I don't know if he does it virtually. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
if you want to find out more, he's on our About Us page.
But a little behind the counter, so every time we start a new episode, Mikey starts this timer, right?
Yeah, right.
And now he sets the timer up on a stand, right? Big white screen, orange circle, and the numbers, right?
It's a teleprompter.
And we don't follow that timer.
No, we don't.
Every
time it goes.
But yet you're so diligent about setting it.
Discipline. It's one of the
spiritual principles. And then it gets down
principles.
to about 20 seconds, and he stops it so it doesn't ding, ding, ding like it usually does, right?
Yeah, right.
And then we talk for 10
like
more
another
minutes
10
or
more
12.
minutes,
It's like it doesn't matter. So I don't know, man.
It's what does Jack Sparrow say?
I love you, brother.
It's more like a guide. He says it's more like a guideline, not a rule, right?
Yeah, but it is not even a guideline, so why have it? But it works for you, man. I don't follow it.
You're not a rule follower.
No, I'm not. But
how you feeling, man?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Good.
I can't wait for our topic today.
I like it. I like it a lot because it was probably
so.
The
How
biggest...
do we get our topics?
Yeah, so we will either have we either have guests that we know are coming on, and those are, we do a little bit of background on them, a little bit of research, kind of get an idea of what they might talk about, and then the train just goes off the rail and they talk about whatever they want to talk about, and we try and catch up with them. And the episodes that it's just you and I, usually Friday afternoon, one of us dings the other one and says, "Hey, what are we talking about tomorrow?"
Sometimes we do it on Wednesday, but yesterday was Friday.
I set my timer for Wednesdays, but it doesn't go off until Friday.
We don't care about your timers.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. I remember us starting out.
Oh my goodness!
Right at that dinner, we're like, "Hey, this is during COVID." We're like, "Hey, maybe a way to get our story and connect with others and help one person is through a podcast." And I can remember saying, "What are we going to talk about?"
Right.
And we were so pumped and so proud because like, well, let's do a step a week, and that's 12 weeks.
That's 12.
Right? That's 12 episodes, right?
And now what?
And now we have, I don't know, 160 or so.
Right.
I don't know, but you know what? And when you send that text out, it normally takes, I don't know, 45 seconds,
right?
Because we live sobriety.
And that's what today's
that
topic
comes
is
out
about.
every single week, man. There's another thing that comes out that because we both, we're closely connected. We go to meetings, work with people. By the way, I haven't been to a meeting in a week. I'm going tomorrow morning.
I'll see you there. 7 a.m.
Yeah, 7 a.m. I'm bringing a bunch of guys. So yeah, can't wait.
You're renting a bus?
You know what?
You're just picking up people from Bridges?
Pretty much.
Okay.
In fact, a sponsee, or not, I wouldn't even call him a sponsee, but a guy I worked with like 5 years ago just pinged me this week. Said, "Hey, I'm really struggling. I think AA is the solution. Can we connect?"
And he found you still in the room.
Absolutely. I answered my phone.
Yeah,
I said, "I can't wait to talk." He said, "I can't believe you picked up my call."
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm like, dude, I've been waiting for it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I get jealous of the people that go out there and succeed drinking. Mm-hmm. I've only found one out of 1,000, but AA is for me in my head, and I know other people find other ways. Whatever, I get it, and I support you and I love you. For me, AA works.
Right.
So I love it
because you work AA.
Because I work AA, but then AA is like the entrance, right? Mm-hmm. And there's 12 steps of the entrance, and stuff like we're going to talk about today, and stuff we talk about these topics. They're all subsets of the rooms, right? Mm-hmm. They're all subsets of AA. The 12 steps are subsets of, anti-character defects. How do you combat character defects? And I'm telling you, there's value in staying in the rooms. There's value in staying on the path.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that,
and I love walking with you.
Most people, I think, in the outside, and I love walking with you too. I think most people on the outside see AA as that group that focuses on not drinking, right? And what I have found is that it's exactly it's that, but the opposite of that, meaning that less attention is put. Look, it's simple. Just don't drink. But now what, right? So the rest of the time, rest of my energy and effort is in personal growth and enjoyment and fulfillment and my well-being, everything about it. It's not about the not drink thing. I mean, that's
that's like the ticket to the stadium.
It's the ticket to the stadium. I mean, right.
And then once you get in the stadium, it's holy fook, man. This is a whole new way of living that is so much more rewarding than anything else in this world can deliver.
And I break it down. For me, it's not just I can't take the first drink. I break it down into the sip. I can't even consider a sip. A sip. Because that's the gateway to death for me. I know that.
I know, and I just shared, on a recent episode, I was at the doctor's, and then, I got some real sleep problems recently, and we were talking about it. And he knows I'm an alcoholic, and he's like, "Hey, man, I got this, and he goes, but Glenn, and then he actually used the V word.
Which one? No, what?
The V word. You know what the V word is?
Give it to me.
Valium.
Oh,
I looked at him. I'm like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Yeah, right.
He goes, "No." He goes, "Hey, I know you're an alcoholic." He says, "Hey, I'm telling you, these are risky drugs.
Right.
If you take these, you're walking towards a relapse."
Yeah.
And I looked at him. I'm like, dude, I'd rather stay awake the rest of my life than risk or take a step. Everything I do every day, man, I'm trying to walk away from a relapse, not do stuff towards. Mm-hmm. And, I said, hey, I'll just find a different guided meditation channel at 2 a.m., right? And just, but hey, man, it's the stuff we do every day, and it's stuff like what we're going to talk about today, which I have no idea what we're going to talk about.
Honesty.
Honestly?
No, honestly, we're going to talk about honesty.
Awesome.
The power of honesty, I think, was the topic that came up, and it's just, to me, I was so far from honest with primarily myself 4+ years ago, right? I didn't know what I needed, but it turns out that I needed to focus on honesty. And that has changed. That has been a big element in my life change, is my level of honesty.
So, all right. So one of the things that you hear in early sobriety, and again, I've said this many times. Some of these words, I try to define. Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, people throw words around, and I'm not even sure if they know what they mean. And like words like happiness, I'm not even sure if I understand that. But honesty. So let's tear apart honesty. What do you think honesty means?
Truth. Bottom line, truth. What is the real truth of a scenario? And that's where you have to. That's the basis of honesty, because the truth is the car is going 65 miles an hour. So to say honestly, you're not speeding in a 45.
So truth can be objective, right? Measured.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
It is raining out. That's a fact.
It's a fact.
Right. So it's fact. Fact.
Right.
Does fact equal truth?
I think fact equals truth. I'd be hard pressed to see. My perception of that fact might be different than your perception. But either one, there's a core truth behind it.
Right. So I was in a key business meeting yesterday, and somebody used the word meaningful. Mm-hmm. And people were like, okay, well, we'll have, meaningful progress. And I jumped in, and I'm like, wait, time out, guys. Let's define meaningful. Mm-hmm. Because just saying we're all agreeing to meaning, it's a key decision, and it's going to be meaningful. And I'm like,
how do you define it?
Right? No, I'm like, we need to A, list the categories to define it, and then B, put the numbers and data behind it. Mm-hmm. Right? And so that's almost like facts, right? And the perception of facts, I get it. It's 70 degrees outside. Somebody can say, oh, it's cold. Somebody can say, oh, man, I'm too hot.
Right.
I would say, wow, it's too hot outside.
Right. But
right?
the fact is it's 70 degrees out.
70 degrees, right? So there's some interpretation of the facts, right? I guess is a good way to put it. But early in sobriety, one of the famous lines that I heard, and I didn't really know what it meant. I'm not sure if I still do per se, but I think I do. It's like, hey, Mike, you got to be honest with yourself. Like, what does that mean? Like, are you telling yourself that you're 6'5" and handsome?
I'm convinced it's 85 out. I tell myself it's 85 because in my story I'm going to say.
So what do people mean when they say that around the word honesty, Mike? You got to be honest with yourself. I mean, what does that mean? Give me some examples. Let's tear that apart first.
Yeah, I would just, for me, I lied to myself a lot. I lied to myself about what
Tell
the
me
alcohol.
a lie. Tell me a lie.
Alcohol is not really doing anything to my health. Is my health, and I've got other underlying issues. It's not the alcohol that is tearing my insides up right now, making me puke.
Okay, so you got 100 problems in your life, and
right.
what you're telling yourself, it's other things other than alcohol.
That's right. That's right.
And that's just going through your head process, your mental process,
and that's my truth.
And you really believe.
I really believe it.
Okay.
And it's so far from the fact.
Right.
But I believe it. And that becomes the truth. And it's furthermore,
I understand that because I did the same thing.
I think another area is I will embellish or either add on or leave facts off around a core fact. I'll either add some on or take some off to make the story sound better for the listener.
All right. So
for me.
So can we come back to that?
Yes.
Because I just think I just want to make sure that we finish that first question, and then that's on my list too of kind of really unpacking that. So be honest with yourself. So for me in early sobriety, I was a cluster. My mental processing was an absolute cluster. I had to engage people, and my people were my therapist in my 4-month program, my counselor in my 4-month program, my sponsor. They told me, they helped me, I should say, identify truth and reality and facts versus Glenn's reality and perception.
Okay.
Right? Like one was my daughters. Glenn's truth, as I lied to myself, I'm like, okay, my daughters are frustrated again. I'll get through this. Give me a couple days. Give me a week. I'll blend back at just like the another 1,700 times I've done. Right? That was my kind of reality and truth. Right? It's not that bad. Reality, as seen by my counselor, therapist, and sponsor, Glenn, you burned that bridge so bad you probably won't see your kids again. And so I think they had the facts because they talked to my daughters, and mine was just my perception of BSing my way through another disastrous relapse.
Right, but isn't it safe to assume that your daughters had the facts? The fact was they were not talking to you. The fact was, right?
The fact was they assessed the situation from their perspective, from their truth.
As being hopeless and
they
unchangeable.
drew a line and they closed the door.
Right.
Right? Mine was another, bullshit, just trying to spin the dial. Right? So in early sobriety, it's, as we've said a lot, it's hard to fix the problem with the same brain that created it. I think it's hard to face the truth or find out the truth with the same brain that's telling you lies, right? I think the outside source, whatever it is very helpful. What I will also say, and then we can move on, is I think honesty is one of the core foundational blocks of the AA 12 steps and the core foundational blocks to getting sober and living a healthy, new, purposeful life.
Right, I agree.
I think if you're bullshitting yourself and others, nothing changes.
Right.
So I think this is probably, we do a lot of episodes and on the weather, but this is a core focus.
It really is, because I believe it's like a bad batch of chocolate chip cookies. I believe if you've got a big batch, a 5-gallon batch of chocolate chip cookies, right? You got all the right ingredients in there.
Yum.
Got all the right ingredients in there. And then you throw a kernel of shit into that batch. Which cookie are you going to eat?
Well, do you know which where the shit is or not?
You have no idea. So which cookie are you going to eat? Or is the whole batch bad?
Whole batch is bad.
That's why I believe just that kernel of bullshit, that kernel of untruth, of dishonesty, is it enough to ruin the whole batch.
So
I don't think
I'm not sure how you
miss on this.
I don't think you underline on a podcast. I'm not sure how to do that, but if there were highlighters or fireworks or any sort of way to focus on that statement, your life, just to paraphrase what I heard, your life for successful sobriety, your life has to be based on 100% honesty.
You can't miss on this one.
Otherwise, if not, you're a chocolate chip cookie with a piece of shit in it.
That's right. The whole batch is bad.
In the can of 20, and you don't know which one it is.
And I have that.
That's amazing.
This is not a principle that had any value to me on October 12th, 2018. It had no value to me.
Were you aware of it? Were you aware when you lied?
Nope. Nope. I didn't even care.
Well,
I was just making shit up.
Okay, so let's tear this thing apart, right? So we all know that, Mikey, did you drink? No. And you got a bottle in the bathroom, right? I mean, that's an easy lie, right? One of the things, so I agree with you. I think 100% honesty. I think for me today, I think I'm doing really good. I mean, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing really good.
Well, I'm not perfect either. I'm just saying that's right.
I think we need to find another podcast partner.
To attain,
I was expecting perfection.
I'm just suggesting that's the goal. The goal is
right. So I'm doing really good on the whole truth, right? So what comes out of my mouth, I'm doing. I mean, maybe it's 98%, right? Is factual truth and honesty, right? Do I filter things out? Absolutely. If I think somebody's dress is ugly, do I tell them? No.
Right.
I mean, come on, right? Right. But and I have a track record of 8 years saying honesty. In fact, I took a personality test for work, and I won a badge of an award from this test, 200 questions, for integrity and honesty. And I was proud of that because that's how I want to live my life, and that came out of those 200 questions, right? So here's some things that you mentioned a little bit. Is my whole life I've been an embellisher, right, and my whole life in my mind I justify, hey, what I said, it's on the dartboard, right, somewhere on there, and I talk fast and I think fast, and a lot of times, when I talk numbers, they're on the dartboard. They're not. I don't pull out a calculator. I mean, I think that's one of my skills is I'm brilliant at sitting in meetings instead of working spreadsheets. I come out with a number. It's not perfect, but it's on the dartboard, right? And my whole life I've been known to be an embellisher, right? I call it rounding skills, right? Round up, round down, whatever, right? So that is an area that I'm still aware of. And I'm still working on it. Have you ever done that?
Oh, absolutely. I think I still do too. I think
you're more of a real. You don't embellish things.
I like to try and keep things black and white, but where I embellish is by omission, right? So, I'm just not gonna tell the whole story. I have a whole lot more facts in my head, but I'm just not gonna, because that's gonna. I'm manipulative. I will still be manipulative with the truth.
Let me push on you on that.
Yes.
So those the facts in your head that you don't share, does it change the story that comes out of your mouth?
I have an answer for that, but let me tell you the more important thing. Yes, it could. If I'm
not saying could. Does it?
Yes.
Okay. That's
Yes.
being honest.
And
So does mine.
And here's what matters to sobriety. This is the whole reason I think it's so important, is because if I start acting like the embellisher that was, I will be a drinker like the embellisher was. Eventually, I'm going to move back. I'm going to move back down that path.
Okay, so let's put that on the shelf and let's address that.
Okay.
Because that's a major price to pay.
Absolutely.
For a little embellishment.
One piece of shit.
Right. That's what we're going to tear apart.
Right.
So what I know when I look back at my lying days, because literally when I was drinking, if my mouth was moving, I was lying. I was scheming, I was manipulating, I was controlling, I was doing whatever, right? And now in sobriety, what I found is if you live differently and you live rightly, you don't need to lie about how you're living.
That's right.
Right?
Right.
Now, what I know about the lies, every lie I told was like an emotional weight put on my shoulders.
That's what I'm saying.
An emotional weight put on my soul, right? So, and some I was aware of, and some I wasn't aware of, right? But over time, and one of the reasons I drank is I hated who I was. And because in my core, I'm not a liar. In my core, I want to live rightly. But I wasn't, and then I would drink to escape who I was becoming or who I was living as, because it was so different from who I am.
Did the untruth cause you to drink, or did you drink because of the untruth?
Both.
Right.
I can't figure that out. There were 10 fucking PhDs who swore they would figure that out for me, and they fucking lied to me.
But we both know that dishonesty and untruths.
It's terrible.
It's
terrible
that weight
for your
you're
soul.
talking about.
It
really
eats
is.
To say this very nicely, lying eats the shit out of your soul. It just does. Now, what I found is living in honesty and the truth is very freeing. There is nothing better than going into a meeting at work with 100% intentions, 100% transparency, 100% facts, and say, hey, man, if you don't like my decision, I get it. You know, here's why I did it. Here's the logic and the justification behind it. My intention is to win. Let's figure this out, right? But instead of hiding behind everything, right, and being afraid, oh my gosh, what if they see that? What if they see this? What if they? What's my lie going to be for this? Right. So there is power in living rightly, and it's freeing being honest. Right. I used to tell so many lies. It was such a jungle gym. We were talking about a guy earlier. It was such a jungle gym and head trash. Trying to the emotional energy, trying to keep all that shit straight in your head. I mean, that probably took up 70% of my brain power. Right. So now that's 70% I can use for something else that's very more positive. Right. So I love that. So don't forget that thing's still up on the shelf. We're coming to that. We're coming to that. That relapse, lying to relapse, is still up on the shelf. But I want to cover something else that you mentioned, and man, you just bring so much good shit. It's the whole story, right? And I'm reminded. So I'm still working on this today, and I face it daily. I tell a lot of stories every day. I give a lot of people updates on stuff. I mean, I'm always right, and it's am I telling the right story? I had a big conversation with one of our investors yesterday in a project I'm working on, and all during that call, I kept saying, I'm like, I am out there telling the story, and I need to make sure the story I'm telling is accurate, whole, and correct. So here's a funny story, and this happened 3 years ago, but it's still a great example. So my wife and I have a deal that I can spend and she can spend up to $500 without talking to each other, right? And there was one day she was out of town, not available, and I bought a $600 lawnmower. And and it went to shit, right? That was a tough conversation, right? Hey, we agreed, right? I'm like, yeah, we agreed. Oh, and then I didn't tell her I bought it, right? She saw it in the garage, but it was a red and gray Honda top. I mean, come on, man. I had,
good justification,
right? Yeah, right. And so, so I want a new pair of skis, right? I have 20-year-old pair of skis, and they were excellent back then, but totally different technology today. I want a new pair of skis. So I said, hey, babe, I want a new pair of skis. She goes, how much are they? I said, $550. And she goes, okay. And she goes, no sweat. Go get them. She goes, I know you love skiing. Yeah, it'll make a difference. I know you love, yeah, go get them. So I go to the ski shop. The pair I wanted that were $550 weren't for me.
No, of course not.
Right? So I'm getting input from the dude. They're not for me.
Right.
And so he says, well,
you got to upgrade.
They're $750.
Okay.
The ones that are perfect for me.
Now you still have authorization at $550. Last I checked,
I have authorization for $550. So I had a green light, and
you have a green light for new skis,
right? At $550,
right?
She said, because I said, well, I found a pair for $550.
Right.
So anyhow, now I'm at the store and they're $750, and I knew I had Liberty, right? I mean, I felt comfortable with that. I didn't need to call her, right, and say I'm going to spend, $5 more. Or what? I mean, that's stupid, right? So I knew I had the green light. So I came home and she goes, hey, did you find your skis? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but hey, they were $750. The ones for me, the ones for $550 weren't for me. The ones for $750 were for me. And she goes, no sweat, right? So I didn't say anything else. I just lived so what reality was, so what I told her was 100% fact.
Right.
Correct?
Yes.
I bought skis for $750. The rest of the story I didn't tell her was my old bindings, which were perfect, didn't fit on the new skis.
She had new bindings.
So I had to get new $250 bindings.
Right.
So she's going to bed that night thinking Glenn got new skis for $750. But the reality was, is Glenn got new skis for $1,000. So I can't tell you, for a month, that $250 was a weight grinding on me. I felt it. I knew it.
Right.
And I'm like, it was just so obvious, right? It was the pile of shit in the middle of the nice living room. And it was so obvious. And finally, I went back to her. And I said, babe, I got to flush something out. I said, I was honest with you when I told you I spent $750 for skis. I said, I really spent $1,000 because I needed new bindings. And I said, in my mind, I could justify all that because they were separate purchases, and the $250 was less than $500, and whatever. And I said, I just wanted to be fully transparent with you. She looked at me and she goes, you carried that around for a month? And she goes, the jungle gym of mathematics you did to justify that $250 was under $500, and I mean, she's like, I could never live in your head.
Yeah, right.
Right? But again, that lies, or not the whole, it wasn't a lie.
Right.
What I told her.
Right. Just not the whole truth.
But look how I justified all that in my head,
Uh-huh.
But what I will say with an underlined spotlight is that added weight to me. And then I unloaded that weight by giving the whole story, right? Now, what I haven't told her is that I'd spent $1,000 on new boots, but I haven't told that yet. But hey, it's
today. They're still today.
It's progress, not perfection, right?
Well, I think it's that weight exactly, and I think it's old behavior. I think that's old Glenn. It's old Mike, and we are new Glenn and new Mike now, and we're living another way. And if you're living another way, why not just embrace honesty to its fullest?
I think people do that because I think that's a byproduct of not living rightly.
Right.
When you don't live rightly, you gotta
lie. Right.
When you live rightly,
right,
it is so freeing. So let's do this.
Yes.
Let's take that thing off the shelf,
okay,
right? Where we said, hey, I believe, and I think I want your input, but I believe if you lie or don't tell the whole truth long enough, those weights add up to a point where you need relief.
That's right.
And what we as alcoholics know is that I'm pounding the table, man. Sorry.
No.
But we as alcoholics know is that alcohol provides relief temporarily.
That's right.
But so it's
Honesty,
very important.
Honesty provides relief permanently. That's all I got to say.
I don't even know how to respond to that.
That's all
That
I
is
gotta say. You queued
absolute. That is absolute.
You queued it up.
Honesty provides relief permanently.
Because alcohol provided us relief temporarily.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Now I got to go live this way. Dang
it.
I got to go live this way.
All right, so real
Yes,
quick,
real quick.
Sober.Coffee espresso shot.
Yes.
What is one area of your life that you can tighten up right now from an honesty perspective? Who do you need to get something straight with, and what is it?
I need to work more I need to put more effort into work in time periods where I'm not giving it all my all. Right. So I might work really hard for 6 hours a day. Mm-hmm. That last hour and a half or 2 hours, I'm really coasting. Okay. I don't think I'm being honest with my employer when I'm just coasting. Now, I'm not going to go tell them I'm coasting. I'm going to change my behavior so that I'm honest.
You don't really have
with
to tell
my pay.
them. Just change.
Just change. Right. But that's being honest with myself. See, because if I'm telling him and myself I'm working a full 8 hours, I'm really not. That's being dishonest.
I love it.
It's an area.
I love it. All right, brother.
All right, man. Love you.
Be great, man. Hey, I honestly love doing this with you.
Good. You want a chocolate chip cookie?
No, thanks.
Goodbye.
I'm on a diet.
Goodbye.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.